Michael Flynn is going to wind up being a big deal here because one of the things he gave Mueller in cooperation was, you know, I was talking to other people in the administration about what I was doing. And remember those 18 days that went from the time that Sally Yates, then the acting head of the AG there in the Department of Justice, when they said, hey, you got a problem with him, 18 days went before they did anything about it. When they did do something about it, the president said nothing about Flynn's potential criminality. Why? Let's read this from Flynn, okay? The nature and circumstances of the offense. General Flynn doesn't take issue with the description of the nature and circumstances of the offense contained in the government's sentencing memorandum and the pre-sentence investigation report. And then there's all this legal citing. As General Flynn has frankly acknowledged in his own words, he recognizes that his actions were wrong and he accepts full responsibility for them. There are, at the same time, here's where it gets interesting, additional facts regarding the circumstances of the FBI interview of General Flynn on January 24, 2017, that are relevant to the court's consideration of a just punishment. At 12:35 p.m. on January 24, 2017, the first Tuesday after the presidential inauguration, General Flynn received a phone call from then Deputy Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe. You know that name. It was on a secure phone in his West Wing office. General Flynn had for many years been accustomed to working in cooperation with the FBI in matters of national security. He and Mr. McCabe briefly discussed a security training session the FBI had recently conducted at the White House before Mr. McCabe, by his own account, stated that he, quote, felt that we needed to have two of our own agents sit down with General Flynn to talk about his communications with Russian representatives. Context matters. They call him up. They're not treating him like a mark. They're, talking about this other thing that has nothing to do with anything. That's going to become instructive, and here's why. Mr. McCabe's account states, I explained that I thought the quickest way to get this done was to have a conversation between Flynn and the agents only. I further stated that if LTG, Lieutenant General Flynn, wished to include anyone else in the meeting, like the White House counsel, for instance, I would need to involve the Department of Justice. All right, they're putting it in there because Flynn was getting some pressure to do this their way and then. He wasn't thinking about protecting himself. That's instructive. Flynn stated that this would not be necessary. He wouldn't need any help, and agreed to meet with the agents without any additional participants. And less than 2 hours later, at 2:15 p.m., so look how fast this happened. You think that would have triggered something in Flynn's head, like why are these guys just jumping over here if it doesn't matter? FBI Deputy Assistant Director Peter Strzok, remember that name? Okay, he wound up becoming an infamous part in this. But he and McCabe are the names connected to Flynn with this. So Strzok and a second FBI agent arrive at the White House to interview General Flynn. By the agent's account, General Flynn was relaxed and jocular and offered to give the agents a little tour of the area around his West Wing office. The agents, listen to this, the agents did not provide General Flynn with a warning of the penalties for making a false statement under 18 U.S.C. 1001 before, during, or after the interview. Why does that matter? Let's just stop here for a second. Because it's about feel. It's about what they were making Flynn think. Now, you can say, well, that's what law enforcement does. Not with one of their own, not with the White House. So what it's suggesting is that there was an atmosphere here of amiability being given to Flynn. And why does this matter? It matters because the theory of the case is, man, this Flynn is sneaky. He's just a lying, sneaky, manipulative guy. Not here. Not here he wasn't. He let them into the office. He didn't have his own lawyer present. He said, let's do it easy. He wants to show them around the office. They don't warn him of the penalties. Well, would he know them? Of course, he's a savvy guy. But they didn't for feel. Keep him comfortable. It matters. And it's going to matter in the sentencing, I promise you that. Prior to the FBI's interview of General Flynn, Mr. McCabe and other FBI agents, officials, decided the agents would not warn Flynn that it was a crime to lie during an FBI interview because they wanted Flynn to be relaxed. And they were concerned that giving the warnings might adversely affect the rapport. Yeah, no kidding. That's what one of the agents reported. Before the interview, FBI officials had also decided that if Flynn said he did not remember something they knew he said, they would use the exact words Flynn used to try to refresh his recollection. It's not unusual. If Flynn still would not confirm what he said, they would not confront him or talk him through it. One of the agents reported that General Flynn was unguarded during the interview and clearly saw the FBI agents as allies. Now, I think that this is important. Legally, I think it's important. I think it takes away from the idea that Flynn was manipulative and looking to get away with something, okay? That's going to be relevant to the judges, and certainly it was to the special prosecutor. Doesn't mean he didn't lie. Doesn't mean what he did was wrong, which he now takes responsibility for. But remember, this is about understanding the man in full, because he's going to offer information that goes beyond his own crime. Who knew what he was saying to the Russian ambassador, why he was saying it? Jared Kushner was there for one of the meetings. Jared Kushner got another meeting with the Russian ambassador's help afterwards. What did they know and why? What would have been sanctions? And it's all going to be in there, and that's why this matters, to understand Flynn in full.